The longer periods of load shedding are putting a strain on city power facilities. The power utility company says customers have experienced many outages after load shedding restoration, as substations often cannot absorb the pressure of the power being switched back on. Stage 6 is causing more shocks and challenges to the network's infrastructure, totaling a loss of 3.6 million rand a day. City Power spokesperson Isaac Mangena joins us now to discuss this further. Thank you very much for your time this morning. Help us understand the challenges as a result of Stage 6.
Yeah, so with Stage 6 and other higher stages of load shedding, we really are struggling as City Power to keep up with the demand, and by extension this actually affects our customers. You'll remember that with Stage 6, it means that most of our customers are load shed sometimes 4 hours at a go, and often it's about 3 to 4 times a day, and that is really undesirable for us and for our customers, and that's why we often also have problems in terms of the infrastructure that is really buckling under pressure due to the on and offs. Remember, the electricity infrastructure on its own was never meant to be switched on and off at regular intervals, but we find ourselves basically having to do that. Over and above that is the toll that this has on our employees who are really struggling to keep up, because of most of the switching on and off is done manually, and it means that our teams have to move from substation to substation to basically switch on and off, and that's why often after load shedding you find that we are not basically, some areas are not back on, but our infrastructure is also basically blowing up during load shedding. Cables get stolen by thieves during load shedding because they basically also study the schedule, and they know which areas will be off at certain times. So we're losing about 3.6 million rands on a daily basis basically to keep up with this load shedding. We've had about 100 days of load shedding this year alone, and that's a lot for us, and the infrastructure that we are losing, the mini substations that we have lost. Last year alone we lost about 400 mini substations, either blowing up or some of them basically getting stolen, all costing about 200 million rands. This year it was a record one where we basically replaced about 27,000 joints. These are cable joints. This is what we used to do in 3 years, but we've already done it in just less than 6 months. So it shows you the kind of impact that this is actually having, that load shedding is having on our infrastructure, but also on human resources.
Yeah, let's speak about human resources. I think it was a couple of weeks ago and it was after dark. I noticed that a City Power vehicle was being escorted by blue lights officials, or it was the police. Is there something happening there? Are your officials, especially when they work after hours, because you're getting high call volumes, under threat?
Yes, we have had unfortunate incidents where our teams were attacked, robbed, as they try to basically do the repairs and restore electricity. In fact, one of them was spent about a month in hospital in ICU after he was hit with bricks by the community in Hillbrow. Luckily he's recovering, he's going to be back at work. We asked him to take it easy, and also we've had instances where most of our teams were robbed when they were busy working. So there are 2 boxes taken, cell phones, laptops, and so forth. In Alexander there was a car, one of our trucks that was not trucks, a bakkie that was hijacked, stolen. So we also encounter those kind of issues, and this is really unfair if you think about it, because of these are the people that are really going into these communities to assist those communities in terms of electricity supply, but instead they're basically being robbed by the same communities. And that's why we often have to rely on escorts from the police and the JMPD, which is really something that is not really supposed to be happening. And in other instances, we've actually decided to cut out our teams from those areas, especially during the night. So there are those areas that are suffering, people that are not able to be assisted by City Power because we are not able to go into those areas. Areas like Malvern, GP's Town, parts of Hillbrow, parts of Alexandra, we are not able to go in those areas because of the history of violence against our members when they went in.
Sure. You mentioned that City Power is losing some 3.6 million rand a day due to the load shedding. What alternatives are available to you?
The only one alternative that is available is for load shedding to end. I think we have tried to keep up in terms of adjusting the budgets, adjusting resources, bringing in extra resources, but it's not. It seems like this is relentless. We are not seeing an end to load shedding. So another alternative that we are looking at, obviously, is alternative energy, where we want to basically cut the over reliance on Eskom, so that we can be able to free up some of the resources and also ensure that our customers are not affected by load shedding. They've got options. They can choose from whether using gas or even using other alternatives like solar. And that is where we are going as City Power. That is the only solution that we think we can have to try and make sure that we offset some of the costs that we are incurring due to the current load shedding that is happening. So we are rolling out our alternative energy. Already we will be launching solar high mast or Apollo light, as we call it in the townships, in most of the areas. So the first one will be launched in the coming week or two in Soweto Meadowlands. So this is to ensure that during load shedding, when load shedding hits, the streets are lit with the solar high mast, and we're hoping that it will basically even assist even in terms of security on the ground and even securing our own infrastructure, but also for people to basically be able to move freely without thinking that criminals will basically attack them. So those are some of the things that we'll be doing, and of course we're doing those with the provincial government. You'll remember that the Premier announced City Power as the implementing agency for the provincial energy plan, and we are basically starting to roll out most of those. We'll also be installing solar geysers, especially in most non-affluent areas, so that at least even during load shedding, people can still get warm water to prepare milk for kids, or even to ensure that kids have bathed to go to school.
A welcome move. Here's something I perceive will also be welcome. You spoke of adjusting City Power's budget. What about adjusting the billing? Because if we don't get electricity, why are we paying so much?
Yeah, I know, and I think maybe some of the measures that we are taking will also adjust that billing to ensure that you actually pay less. But unfortunately,
we've had this problem for some 15 years, but the billing stays the same. In fact, it's even worse.
Yeah, unfortunately, remember, when there's load shedding, when lights go off, City Power does not even make money, and we have already bought electricity from Eskom. We pay around 19 billion annually to Eskom for electricity, which half the time we don't have. So we are losing in terms of the projections, financial projections that we put on, or we promise council and even customers, but also when you look at the tariffs, which are not really in our hands. It's something that is done at NERSA level, Eskom as well. So we have to keep up with that. So it means that whatever that we were paying last year, it won't be the same as what you are paying this year. But hopefully, we will try and ensure that your bill goes down a little.
Hi, Isaac. So when should we check in with you? In a month's time, 6 months' time, in a year?
Give me 6 months.
Okay, great. We'll check in with you by the end of the year. Thank you very much for availing yourself this morning.
Thank
Isaac
you for
Mangena, City Power spokesperson.